Hi everyone, it's Karen here. Welcome to another video with me. And today it's day 10 of our 24 days of tags. It's been great to see how everyone's been tagging along, and it's just been such a lot of fun. So thank you for joining. So today I've got the lovely Lavinia stamps Honeysuckle Cottage, Fir Tree 1. I've created some little flowers using some Posca pens. I've got red, white and bronze flowers, but any colours. If you've got them, any colours will do. My background, I've used Distress Oxide's Blueprint Sketch. I've also used Snowflake to create some stars using the mini star stamp. And what else? I've coloured my Honeysuckle Cottage in with Derwent Inktense pencils, keeping up with the blue theme. So today we're going to mask off. We're going to stamp our cottage first, then mask it off and colour in the background. And the reason to doing that is because then we get the white popping through of the Honeysuckle Cottage. So as always, my tag size is 6.5 centimeters by 12.5 centimeters, and I've just snipped off the edges. Cardstock that I'm using is Lavinia multifarious cardstock. We will get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to stamp our Honeysuckle Cottage with VersaFine Clear Nocturne. I'm just going to make sure that that little piece doesn't get in our way. So we're going to stamp this cottage to the left a little, but giving ourselves a bit of space underneath it so that we can create some of these hills, valleys for our flowers. We're going to stamp it a second time on a plain piece of paper, just normal copy paper, and then you're going to cut it out. I hear that some people shock horror. I didn't, to be honest, on mine. I didn't cut the extra little piece off. We will get away with it without doing that. Okay, so you're going to cut it out to create a mask. Now, there have been times when I've created a mask and I've actually used a post-it note so that part of it is still sticky, but this one's a little bit big for the post-it notes that I've got at the moment. So we will stick with it like this. Then we're going to just place it over when we want to stamp. That way we get it looking as though the fir trees are growing behind our Honeysuckle Cottage. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to blend majority of my blue, and then I shall bring in our mask. I'm going to use a piece of acetate to help protect my work. You know what, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to use a piece of copy paper because the acetate, because of the force with which I'm going to be blending, the acetate will wriggle about a bit. So circular motion. I'm just going to bring a bit of this down through my tag. You do not have to be super careful because we are going to create some water splatters on it. We're also going to create some snow, and we're going to have stars in the night sky, so you don't have to worry too much. Right, now time to put my mask on. Let me just clean this off because I don't want this going on the back of my tag. So here, I'm going to pop it down, more or less. And then I'm going to come back in with my blending sponge. And because it is only copy paper, you are going to need to be a little careful. So I'm going to draw the ink off the mask onto the card, which is not ideal, but there we go. Sometimes when I'm creating masks, I will use card, but you have to remember that if you use card, there's going to be a bit of a gap between the card because of the thickness of the card. So you're going to end up with a line of white space around your image. So that's why I've opted for paper in this case. This looks a bit cack-handed, but it will look lovely when we are done. So there we have our lovely little honeysuckle cottage. And I'm going to create some water splatters in the background for some texture. I always think that water splatters are so effective. So how I'm going to do that, you can do that a number of ways. You can use a fan brush and splat it over your page. Or today, I'm just going to put a tiny bit in my hand, clap the first bit off, and then I'm just going to clap over the entire card. There we have it. And I'm just going to dab it. That's because I pulled it. There we go. It's fine. I'm just going to dry that off. So it's nice and dry. And then I'm going to bring in my fir tree one. And I'm going to ink that stamp up. I'm going to put my mask back in place so that when I stamp it, this tree looks as though it's growing behind my little cottage. Like that. And ditto again for the other side. Ink up my stamp. Hold it in place. And that is not in place. That's why, you see, that's the advantage of using a post-it note, because you have that tiny bit of sticky note. There are glue dots that are semi-permanent that could be used quite well for this purpose, but I don't have them to hand, so here we are. We're doing this today. There it is. And I'm going to stamp this one just here. So different heights there. So that way you're getting this different look for our little cottage scene. And this one doesn't need a mask because he's just off the edge. Fabulous there. And now we're going to create the stars in the sky. For this, I'm actually going to use paint. I don't often put paint near my stamps, but I haven't found a white ink pad that does the job the same. I do have the Unicorn Pigment white ink pad, and that's very good, but it won't show up really well on this tag. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of paint, and so long as you clean your stamp off quite soon, should be fine. It won't damage the stamp at all. So I just smeared it out, so I had a thin layer of paint. And I'm going to work quite quickly because otherwise the paint will dry. And I certainly don't want it to dry anywhere near my gorgeous stamps. There we go. So I'm just going to take that straight off. There you go. We're all good. So there we've got both our water splatters and our night sky with stars in it. And now we're going to create a bit of interest at the bottom. I'm going to take a piece of copy paper and I'm just going to tear us a bit of a hill. And I'm going to turn it upside down. And I'm going to go in with black soot and a smoothie. And I'm just going to draw some of this ink off the copy paper onto the bottom. And I'm going to put it at different heights because that's how hills would go. And that's where our flowers are going to sit. So there we have it. So simple that, right? And now I'm going to take a black pen. These are the ones that I use. They're artist's pens. And I'm going to use the fine one just because I think that's... And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that. And then I'm going to tap my Posca pens. I'm showing you on this white card because it might be easier than on the black. And I'm going to, obviously the white won't show up, but I'm going to just put little dots around my little flowers like that. So we're going to do this all the way at the bottom of our honeysuckle cottage. So first of all, we're going to do the little stems. Sorry, I couldn't talk and think at the same time. Error loading. And then we're just going to do lots of little dots around the flowers and around the base of the trees as well. And just a few of these bronze ones just add a different look to it. And now we're going to colour our gorgeous little honeysuckle cottage. And as I said in the beginning, I've kind of just got an assortment of blues here. And then I've got a couple of tan and beige so that I can colour in the tiles and the bricks and the stones. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lightest blue and I'm just going to bring up. That's the beauty of these Inktense pencils. They're really soft and they flow really easily across the page. Tracy also in her design here has given us a lot of lines and texture, so it makes the colouring so much easier for us. So I'm just, you'll have seen me do this a couple of times on the cottages and lodge, that I'm just going really quickly. Don't overthink it. I'm now going to take my next blue, bring in a bit of extra depth here and there, not all the way along, otherwise you're just going to get a long line of it. And you want, you know, the light catches things in different ways, so you want it to be a bit variegated. I'm going to take my darkest blue and I'm just going to bring that underneath where the vines. I just sharpened this pencil and it's too sharp. So it's not, that's better. It's not going really softly across the page. I'm getting harsh lines. But it's okay. I will smooth it over with a different blue. I'm going back to the lightest blue And I'm just going to bring that through the whole thing. You really can't get this colouring wrong. Some people were really worried about it, and you really can't get it wrong. So long as you've got a bit of light happening here and there. Look at that. And then I'm going to take my tan and my sort of yellowy colour, and I'm going to colour in some of these bricks. Just the odd one here and there, because this type of stonework, that's exactly what it would look like, isn't it? Pick up the other one, and again, just here and there, so it looks as though the light is catching it in different ways. And the same with the door. I mean, I am not an expert colourer, as you can see, but I think because Tracy's done all the hard work, look at that, you know, all the hard work on the detail, we don't need to. So I'm just going to take my white Sigma ball pen, and I'm just going to create a few little dots here and there amongst the stones. So then what I'm going to do is just punch a hole in the top, just like I did, and attach a couple of extra ribbons. So I've gone with two-tone, a lighter and a darker blue. They are 34 centimeters in length, and I've just threaded them through the hole that I've punched. So I do hope you've enjoyed that. I'd love to see what you make. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.